What's something your family did growing up that you didn't realize was against the law? Dad would wake us up super early on random Saturday mornings and be like, Adventure Day. And we'd all pile into our old blue van that Mom called the Mystery Machine. Yes, Scooby-Doo reference LOL. We'd drive for hours sometimes, usually to different cities or towns within a few hours of home. The thing about these adventure days is that they always involved exploring what Dad called forgotten places. Basically abandoned buildings, old factories, closed down hospitals, unfinished construction sites, stuff like that. Dad would pack these little backpacks for each of us with flashlights, gloves, water bottles, and snacks. We'd park a few blocks away and then walk to these places, usually through some back entrance or broken fence. I always thought this was just normal family fun. Like, I literally had no idea other families didn't do this. I remember bragging about it in elementary school and my teacher giving me this weird look, but I didn't think anything of it. Dad had these rules we had to follow. No posting pics on social media, which seemed normal, privacy, whatever. Always whisper inside buildings. If we saw anyone else, we'd use our code word, banana, and immediately leave. We could each take one small souvenir, but only if it was already broken or clearly abandoned. Never ever tell anyone specific locations of our adventures. My brother Finn was obsessed with these trips. He started a collection of little items, like a rusted sign from an old factory, a broken piece of decorative tile from an abandoned hotel, stuff like that. Mom would help him arrange them in these shadow boxes in his room. I wasn't as into collecting stuff, but I loved exploring and the adrenaline rush of being somewhere we shouldn't be. Then when I was about 14, I was at my friend Maria's house and her dad was a police officer. We were talking about weekend plans and I mentioned, without specific details, that my family might go exploring. Maria's dad started asking questions and I described how we'd find cool abandoned places to check out. Y'all, the look on this man's face. He very carefully asked me if we had permission to enter these buildings. I was like, no, they're abandoned. And he explained that what we were doing was actually breaking and entering plus trespassing, which are illegal crimes. I was shook. I literally had no idea. In my mind, if a place was abandoned, it was fair game. I asked if it was still illegal if we didn't break anything, and he was like, yes, very much so. Then he asked about the souvenirs and explained that was technically theft. I went home that day feeling so weird and confused, like my whole childhood was built around this activity that was actually criminal, but my parents are the most normal, rule-following people otherwise. Dad works in accounting. Mom volunteers at church. We're not criminals. I tried to casually bring it up with my mom like, hey, so I was wondering about our adventures. And she got this weird look and changed the subject super fast. A few months went by and I started noticing that our adventure days were happening less frequently. Dad would make excuses about being busy with work. I figured they realized I knew the truth and were phasing it out. Then last month, Dad announced we were doing a special adventure night. Said he'd found this amazing abandoned mansion about 2 hours away that was perfect and completely safe. Finn was hyped, but I was hesitant. Still, I didn't want to be left out, so I went along. This place was different from our usual spots. It was this massive old mansion that looked like it had been abandoned mid-renovation. Tools everywhere, half-finished walls, but also some rooms that still had furniture and stuff. It felt less abandoned, more like someone was in the middle of working on it. I remember whispering to Finn that this didn't feel right, and he brushed me off. Dad seemed super excited about this place, kept pointing out architectural details and taking pictures, which he never did before. We were in this huge library room with built-in bookshelves when Finn found this small wooden box hidden behind some books. He opened it, and inside was a bunch of jewelry, like real jewelry with gems and gold, not costume stuff. The look on Dad's face was intense. He told Finn to put it in his backpack right away. I was like, Dad, that's not like a little souvenir, that's someone's actual valuable stuff. And he got angry in a way I'd never seen before. That's when we heard a car pulling up outside. Dad peeked through the window and went completely pale. He grabbed Mom's arm and whispered something. She looked terrified and grabbed Finn while Dad grabbed me and we ran to the back of the house. As we were rushing down this back staircase, I heard voices inside the house and realized this wasn't an abandoned building at all. This was someone's home that was being renovated. We weren't urban explorers. We were literally burglarizing a house. Dad was pulling me toward this back door when suddenly there was a flashlight beam and someone shouted, "Stop right there." I turned and saw a security guard pointing at us, and then he reached for something on his belt and I heard a loud bang. The full story is on the channel, link below.